Before I got into blessing people with my opinion, I owned newspapers in Texas, and I bought and sold them, and I didn't get to just dictate the price that I bought every newspaper at. I had to negotiate a deal with someone whose interests were not exactly aligned with mine. The point is this. We're approaching this fiscal cliff, something that I think both Republicans and Democrats do not want to go over. Now, if we don't want to go over that, unless you Republicans have complete control of the government, aren't you going to have to make a deal with Democrats? Aren't you going to have to find some kind of Bowles-Simpson compromise deal to not go over that cliff?
Well, two things. First of all, I hope we do get, we run the table and we win the election in November. 5 weeks from today, I hope we have Republican House, Republican Senate, and we take back the White House. But if in fact it is still split government, no, we shouldn't strike a deal, because look, every time we have, look what it got. Look at what the Budget Control Act deal got us last summer when they raised the debt ceiling. The next day the market dropped 500 points. A week later it dropped a total of 1,300 points. We got downgraded by Standard & Poor's. The super committee, which was supposed to solve everything, completely fell apart. And now the scheduled cuts, they're talking about suspending those, which will mean one thing. That debt ceiling agreement they got last year, the only thing the taxpayers will have gotten out of that deal is $2.4 trillion more in debt. So striking a deal with the Democrats and with the liberals just doesn't solve the problem.
Congressman,
we should stand firm and take our case to the American people.
But Congressman, let me ask you this. This is Amy Holmes here. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois, the second-ranking Democrat in the Senate, rather, he says, why don't we wait 6 months, have a 6-month delay, find savings that will be able to patch us through, and then we can compromise or trade or deal or whatever. And to me, this is actually within the political parameters you've laid out, which is we shouldn't have lame duck politicians who might have been voted out of office striking this deal. Doesn't Dick Durbin have a point here? Wait until the next Congress and then get to the bargaining table.
I agree that makes sense if, in fact, Republicans are going to be in control, because I would much rather craft a tax package. So let the tax increases happen, which I don't like. I wish we just extend them, but I don't think Harry Reid and President Obama will go for that. But if we win, if it's President Romney in next year, then let's fix the tax code next year, extend the current rates, and make it retroactive. So I would be for doing that, because you'd be doing it with Republicans. But if it's still going to be split government and it's just kicking the can down the road and suspending the sequester, the cuts that are supposed to take place, I would be opposed to that, because then, as I said, then we'll have won a whole debt ceiling cycle and the taxpayers won't have gotten any savings, won't achieve any savings. All we will have done is kick the can down the road and raise the debt, made the debt problem even worse.
Congressman Jordan, this is Ben Domenech. Here's my question for you. Looking across your caucus right now and all of the other members who are there, they're hearing every day in their ear from the members of the old media who are telling them to take this brave stand in favor of revenue increases. Tell me why that's not the brave stand to take at this point. Tell me why you think that we ought to maybe be making brave cuts instead, as opposed to conceding this idea to the mainstream media.
Because you can never trust Congress. Again, I tell everyone all the time, I said, look, every family has someone in their family that you shouldn't loan money to. They might be a nice person, but they're just not responsible. You know that if you loan them money, you're never going to get it back. I'm always reminded of that old Chevy Chase movie with Cousin Eddie, Christmas Vacation. Congress is like Cousin Eddie. Don't give them money. You don't want to loan them. So it's not a revenue concern. It's a spending problem. Everyone in the country gets that. The only people who don't get it is the Congress, which, oh, by the way, is the ones who have built up a $16 trillion debt. So it is completely a spending problem. When you say it in straight terms like that to the American people, they get it, because as a family they've had to deal with that. As a small business owner they've had to deal with that. Local governments have had to deal with that. It's always a spending concern. So let's focus on the real problem. And let's change the way we spend money, and let's cut back. And I'll let y'all in a little secret. We're going to have to cut some spending. Imagine that. So we just got to get about doing it. And the sooner we start, like any problem, the sooner you get about fixing it, the easier it is to solve.
Congressman, it's S.E. Cupp here. You just said you can never trust Congress. And we know that approval for Congress, no offense to you personally, is at an all-time low. But I'm wondering if you place any of the blame for this intransigence on a failure of leadership on the part of the president, that we're even at this point having this discussion right now.
Well, certainly. I mean, you can go back to last summer, which was the big fight in this Congress over the debt ceiling. I think the president could have led more, come forward and actually worked with us and maybe got some better package. What I do know is the package I pushed and other conservative members in the Congress pushed, cut, cap, and balance, cut spending in the first year, cap it as a percentage of our economy moving forward, and start the process on a balanced budget. I do know that was resonating with the American people. In fact, we passed it in the House. We had bipartisan support. It went to the Senate. Harry Reid tabled it, didn't even debate it, let alone vote on it. But the American people, CNN did a poll, the American people liked it. They said, you know what? If you're going to increase the debt, if you're going to raise the debt ceiling, put in place a solution, not just some deal, not just some package, not just kicking the can down the road. Put in place a solution. They understood that what we had proposed, cut, cap, and balance, was actually going to help solve the problem, and they supported it. That's the kind of principled position stand we have to take that focuses on the spending side and on a balanced budget, moving towards a balanced budget solution. That's where we need to focus, not on raising revenue.